Hey there, Jeep Divers. So, have you ever felt like your smart home, no, it isn't really that smart. You know what I mean? It can follow those schedules we meticulously program into it, but does it really truly get you? That's what we're diving into today, how AI could completely change the game by actually learning your home habits. In a good way, obviously, not in the creepy way. So you guys sent in some seriously cool sources this time around. One that dives deep into this whole technical system, super interesting. And another one, which, I love these, a conversation between a user and ChatGPT, just brainstorming you.
Always great to see those different perspectives, right? You have that detailed architecture and then that initial spark of, hold on, what if we could actually make our homes do this?
Exactly. Okay, so picture this. You're using, I don't know, Home Assistant or something similar. It's helpful, don't get me wrong, but also a little rigid, like it only does what you tell it to. This user in the ChatGPT chat, they had this light bulb moment. What if we could use, get this, reinforcement learning, or RL for short, to make these systems actually get smarter the more we use them?
And that right there, that's a huge area of focus in AI right now. You know how you teach a dog a new trick, but instead of giving commands, you just reward the behavior you want to see. That's essentially what RL is all about. Learning by trial and error, but for your house.
Imagine that though. Instead of programming every little detail, your smart home starts picking up on your routines, what you like, what you don't like. Blew my mind when I first really understood it. Imagine your thermostat, right? Not just following a set schedule, but actually predicting when you personally like the temperature warmer, just based on how you've adjusted it in the past.
That's the dream, right? But here's the thing, and this is where that technical source gets into the nitty-gritty. Homes, they're crazy, complex environments to try and simulate.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, the sunlight changes constantly, people are moving around, you open a window, the oven's going. All these little variables make it really tricky for a system to learn effectively.
Right, it'd be like, I don't know, trying to teach a self-driving car just by dropping it in the middle of rush hour traffic with zero training beforehand.
Recipe for disaster.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. Real-time learning with RL, it's incredibly powerful, don't get me wrong, but it's also slow. And when it comes to your home, those mistakes, those aren't just virtual points getting deducted. They impact your comfort, maybe even your safety in some cases.
Yeah, that's a good point. So how do we solve this then? Well, this user in the ChatGPT chat, they hit on something really clever, I thought. What if instead of just using all that raw data, light on, light off, temperature changes, what if we use AI to turn those actions into, like, mini stories?
That's where these language models come in. This is the same tech behind ChatGPT itself. And suddenly we're not just dealing with ones and zeros anymore, we have context.
Right, like instead of your system just seeing kitchen light off at 11 p.m., it understands, okay, user turn off the kitchen light at 11 p.m. and then they move to the bedroom. They're likely going to sleep now.
Huge difference. Now the system, it isn't just reacting to isolated events. It's starting to understand the meaning behind them. It's building a narrative around how you actually live your life in your home.
And once you have that narrative, those stories, well, that's when things get really interesting.
Absolutely. The true potential of all this starts to become really clear. Imagine instead of your home just reacting to your direct commands, it starts to anticipate what you need based on those stories it's building about you.
And maybe even suggest things you hadn't even considered yourself.
Yeah, like we're talking a home that really learns your rhythms and your routines. It might notice, for example, that you always turn on that hallway light, but really dimly when you get up in the middle of the night, and then eventually it could suggest, hey, want me to just automate that for you?
Well, that'd be awesome. No more fumbling for the light switch at 3 in the morning, right?
Yeah.
And it wouldn't just be about convenience either. I mean, the sources talked about these AI systems actually getting smart enough to write simple code. Can you believe that?
Yeah, now that is where things get really, really cool, like way out there. Let's say, for example, the AI, it sees from all those stories that it's been building about you that you love to unwind in the evenings with, I don't know, some calming music and maybe a specific kind of warm lighting. Theoretically, it could actually write the code to make that happen automatically as it learns more about your patterns.
So instead of me, like, going into some app and setting up all these complicated scenes and automations myself, my home just figures it out for me. Sign me up, right?
Yeah.
But, okay, I know you're thinking it because it's the first thing that popped into my head, too. What about privacy? This all sounds great, but that's a lot of data.
100%, yeah. That's a huge concern, and thankfully, both sources were very clear on this point. Any system like this, it has to prioritize data security and user control from the get-go.
Yeah, they stress that all that data, all those stories that your system is building about your routines, it would all be anonymized. It's not like some company out there is going to have access to every little thing you do in your house. It's about training an AI on your preferences, but doing it securely, privately. That's key.
Think of it this way. I mean, right now you're already giving all sorts of data to these smart home companies just by using their devices. This is just a way to, make that data actually work harder for you on your terms for once.
And you know what? Knowing the why behind our actions, it could actually help these AI systems avoid all those dumb smart home blunders we've all experienced, right? Like when your music starts blasting at 6 in the morning because you forgot to change your wake-up alarm after a late night.
Oh, tell me about it. Context is everything. Like, if the AI knows that you usually wake up at 7, but hey, last night you were up late working in your home office, it could, gently suggest a later wake-up time, or maybe even adjust your smart coffee maker's schedule so you aren't greeted by lukewarm coffee.
Now that's what I'm talking about. That's a smart home doing what it's supposed to do. It's not just about blindly following orders at that point. It's about anticipating your needs, understanding you.
And you know what? This actually brings us to a really interesting point, I think. Just by trying to teach AI about our home lives, it kind of forces us to look inward a little bit too, makes us examine all those little routines and habits that we usually just take for granted.
It's true. We're so used to just doing things a certain way, we never really stop and think, hold on, is this actually working for me? Or could I be doing this better?
It's like we all just assume that we have to, set our smart lights to mimic the sunrise because, hey, that's what all the sleep experts tell us to do, right?
Yeah, or we force ourselves to chug a glass of lemon water first thing in the morning, even though we secretly hate the taste.
Exactly. But maybe, what if what actually makes us feel our best is, doing a little yoga and listening to our favorite podcasts. An AI that's really paying attention, it would pick up on those little things.
Right. It wouldn't just start playing my yoga playlist on a timer.
Yeah.
It would know to do it when it actually hears me moving around in the morning.
Right.
It understands that's when I actually want it.
That's the thing that's so cool about this whole idea, that level of personalization. It's not there yet, but man, the potential is huge.
It's about AI understanding, not just the what, turn on the coffee maker, but the why behind everything we do, creating a home environment that actually reflects who we are, even those little quirks we don't even realize we have.
That makes you think, right? What about you? I mean, what's one thing in your routine, something small that you do that makes your home life feel like this is me? What would you want an AI to pick up on and maybe even help you optimize somehow?
That's such a good question to think about.
Yeah.
Maybe it's as simple as, always dimming the lights to this perfect level when you settle in to watch TV after dinner. Or, hey, maybe it's something totally different, something totally unique to you. What we're really talking about here, I think, is a future where tech, it kind of just fades into the background, but not by disappearing, but by being so in tune with us, with our needs, our preferences, that it just works.
Yeah, no more wrestling with those clunky apps, no more memorizing 50 different voice commands, just a home that adapts to you, not the other way around.
And that, deep divers, is why I love these deep dives so much. It's not just about, oh, this piece of tech is cool or whatever. Get you thinking about the bigger picture, In this case, not just smarter tech, but a smarter, maybe even better way of living at home. Thanks for joining us for this one, and until next time, keep those brains buzzing.